Hey everybody. I did not expect to go first. This is new. This is exciting, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to expect here. Actually, I'm the only one who does. Okay, so a little bit about me. I'm from a big family here in Utah. I've got 7 brothers and 3 sisters. I'm somewhere in the middle. And life growing up in a big family is fun. It's exciting. It's a little bit traumatic. We have 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. So I grew up with like 2 bunk beds in my room, and trying to clean it by yourself is basically impossible. So you have your nook of chaos, and that is no one. I mean, if there's other stuff in there, I just throw it out. It's fine. But I'm realizing that there's like things that I didn't learn that I wish I maybe would have like learned at a younger age. Like my oldest sibling, my sister Alyssa, she's like 12 years older than I am, and then there's 7 boys in a row, and I'm like number 5, so I don't have like a lot of interaction with like girls or like people of the opposite sex, and so like I get told like women are always right, and I'm like, is that even true? Yeah. Like I don't know, because my experience is like with all these guys, right? So like I fit in with the bros, I guess. And, anyway, so I guess I'm trying to discover this idea for myself, like maybe they are always right. Maybe there are reasons that they're always right, and I hear it in the movies, like Meet the Robinsons. It's like, you think I'm crazy too. And he's like, no, I think you're right. And I'm like, oh, that de-escalated so fast. That was the right answer. Maybe I need to use that. So I don't even remember where I was going with this, so I brought notes somewhere. Maybe I remember. Oh, front pocket. I like pockets. I like shirts that have pockets. It's a thing. Oh yeah. I was on this date, and we're driving. We're just going on a drive. I don't remember where we were going. It was dark. I remember it being kind of a creepy part of town. And she was like, hey, I'm from this neighborhood. There's a stop sign. You should be sure to hit it because a lot of people miss it. And I was like, okay. I'm a good driver. I've been driving a long time. I think a stop sign is pretty easy to see. It's at night. They're reflective. It's fine. We're talking. And then out of nowhere, she's like, oh, you missed it. And I'm like, what? And she's like, the stop sign, you missed it. I'm like, oh. She's like, you'll probably get a ticket. I'm like, well, I hope not. She's like, well, I don't see any lights yet. And then they come on. I'm just like, oh, great. She told me and everything. And so she like predicted the future, and then it happened immediately. And I was like, oh, is that like a foreshadowing of what is to come? Maybe. Like, I'm dating, right? Like, I'm not married. Maybe there are reasons for this. I'm trying to be a little bit more self-aware about maybe what could this reason be. Maybe don't tell me. Or maybe tell me. I don't know. I don't know how to take this stuff sometimes, so I'll probably overanalyze it forever. It's fine. No, but yeah, so I'm talking to the officer. He's like, did you realize you just passed that stop sign? I'm like, I didn't even see it. I don't want him to know that she told me it was coming, so I just don't say anything. I just keep my mouth shut, and I feel like this is learning wisdom. It's keeping my mouth shut. So maybe an example of this, like when I was 15 years old, my younger sister, so there's like girl, 7 boys, 2 girls, 2 boys. So she's finally like, I don't know, 6th grade or something. Well, that can't be right. Well, I don't know. She's in junior high, so I don't know, whatever age that is. And let's see, how does this even go? Yeah, so I'm sitting at the dinner table. I'm eating dinner with my family, and we're eating food, and I look over and I notice that her arms are hairier than mine. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I say something? So I'm 15 years old, and this is when I learned wisdom, right? Like, I say nothing. And I'm like, let me think about this for a second. But I feel like socializing sometimes is like walking into traffic. Like, is it even safe? Like, do I say the thing that I'm thinking? Because I know a secret, but I could tell you, but I shouldn't. And so I'm like giddy. I'm like, do I cross the street? I shouldn't do this. I say nothing. And I'm like, man, well, maybe that's a bad reflection on me, because maybe that means I'm not a man because I don't have a lot of hair on my body. And I feel like that's a manly thing. I'm like, well, shoot, maybe I should just protect myself and say nothing. And then on the other hand, maybe it's not flattering to be called out like, hey, my sister has the hairiest arms ever. Like, that doesn't feel good for her either, so maybe I protect her too. And so that's like a win-win. Well, I agree with Alicia. She's not here right now, but she said that old people and 5-year-olds are like the funniest people on the planet. And I kind of agree, because there's like a no-filter barrier right there. And we would like babysit these kids. And so one of these kids that we babysat, her name was Annika, and she was pretty funny. She was a spitfire. She would just say what's on her mind immediately, or sing the Little Mermaid songs. It was pretty cute. Well, the next day, she like turns to my sister and she's like, "How come you have fur?" And I want to laugh like this much, like a lot, but like I only laugh this much because we're family and we live together and there's nowhere else for me to go. Oh my goodness. So I think that was the best way for her to hear that, probably not from me, but like from someone else. So I got to laugh at that. That was good. Okay, what else? Where are we even going with this? Oh my goodness, speaking of people communicating, socializing, my grandma, she's funny too. The kids are funny, the old people are funny. She picks up the phone and she's got like this voice that sounds like kind of like a young person. Like my sister describes her as like Winnie the Pooh. She's like deceptively smart, but she'll say things that are like, I don't know, kind of blonde, I guess. She picks up the phone, she's like, "Hello," and then the person on the other end is like, "Hi, is your mommy home?" And she's like, "No." And she hangs up the phone, like immediately. Oh my gosh. I love that because she's my grandma, so she's like old when she says this, but it sounds like a young person. I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. That's the best. People, telemarketers don't know what just hit them. They have no idea. Oh my goodness. Okay, so here's another experience. I went to my nephew's birthday party, and I might need some other notes for this. It was fun. He's like turning 2, right? I've got a lot of the cousins over, all the nieces and nephews, and I noticed my niece, she's sitting in the sandbox by herself, and I was like, well, maybe I'll say hi. So I dropped by, I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? What are you doing?" She's like, "I am making," no, what'd she say? Hold on. I got this. I wrote it down. I wish I could show you the video. It's way better. She's like, "So look." And then she takes the buckets and she's putting them in front of herself and she's like, "I'm going to do this and then I'm going to do that and I'm going to fill this up right here. And yeah, that is how you play Cake Man." I'm like, "Cake Man? Okay." It's like, "Yeah, Cake Man. I'm playing Cake Man. Cake Man is so fun to play. It's a really fun game. Because Cake Man, you get to make a sand cake." And I'm like, "A sand cake? That sounds like a delicious cake. I bet it tastes like peanut butter." And she whips her head up. She's like, "No, it tastes like sand. Because it's a sand cake." And she looks at me like, "Duh, Michael, like you should know this. Why am I explaining this to someone older than me?" And I'm like, she's beyond the age of imagination. She doesn't, I'm just like, well, shoot, like, I don't correct her. She's right, by the way. I'm like learning this. I'm like, "You're right. Yeah." So, but her face in the video, seriously, it's like from like laughing, like, "No, it's a sand cake." Like, just dead serious, like, duh, no duh. I'm like, oh, obviously. Man, what time are we at? We got 6 minutes. We got a little few more things to say. Okay. Oh, what the heck? Magic. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so, I feel like these experiences helped me to learn that maybe they are always right. Maybe what they tell me, I just need to accept as fact and just be like, "You're right." And even if they're learning something, so am I. We're learning together. It's great. At one point I was working at this job, right? I'm like a receptionist. It's kind of this new job. It's a home health and hospice agency, and we're like getting to know each other. I'm like, there's like first impressions and stuff. Like, how do I think of this coworker or whatever? We're eating lunch together, and one of my coworkers, we're just like all sitting and talking, whatever. She pulls out this bag of sliced peppers, and she's like eating them, and we're talking and laughing about whatever, and then all of a sudden she pulls one out of the bag and it has this huge sticker on it. And I'm like, well, I should probably tell her that it's got a sticker on the pepper. And so I should probably tell her, right? But then I didn't. I was like, well, hold on, let's just see how this plays out. Maybe she won't eat it. And so then she's like talking, and then she goes to eat it, and then she's like, well, no, what about this? And I'm like, oh, she didn't eat it. But that's like the second time that she like had the pepper, and she's so engrossed in her conversation she doesn't even notice, I guess. Anyways, she's like holding it and talking about it, and then I'm like, well, maybe she won't. She's bound to notice now. No, she ate it. And so I thought that was a little bit funny. I chuckled to myself, like, and my coworker next to me, she's like, what's funny? I'm like, what? Nothing's funny. She's like, you laughed. I'm like, no, I didn't. She's like, you have to tell me. I'm like, no, I don't. She's like, everyone, Michael thinks something's funny. I'm like, no. Some of you have heard this before, but oh my gosh. So I'm like, don't make a deal of this. It's fine. I will tell you. So I whispered to her, and she's like, and you let her eat it? And Christina whips her head over, eat what? I'm like, oh great, this is first impressions, this is so bad. And I felt horrible, but I learned a few things. Christina's kind of older, she has cataracts, she like actually couldn't see. Oh man, so I felt bad after that. I'm like, I'm so sorry. That was so embarrassing, and I guess they learned not to trust me with things, I guess. And maybe that was good because I had like my own work to do, right? So anyway, it was the whole thing. But I feel like the theme remains, right? She's like always right. Whoever it is, she's like, you have to tell me. I'm like, no, I don't. But I did tell her she was right. Like all the times throughout, like the whole sand cake thing, she was right too. And the cop thing pulling me over, she was right. So I'm starting to see the theme, and I'm just like, maybe I just need to live with this as a sign telling me, she just can be right, and that's okay. And even if she's prophetic and tells me the future, like, maybe I don't need to read too much into that and just say, you're right. And that's it. That's all I got.